I'm Isaac with Twit, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Express that runs on the AT&T network. One of the first things about this phone is it is an LTE phone, so if you're in that coverage area, you should get some really fast speeds if you can get AT&T LTE. You can see it's got a pretty big screen, a 4.5-inch screen with a resolution of 800 by 480. It's got a 1.3 megapixel camera on the front and a 5 megapixel camera on the back. So this is a pretty light phone. It's about 5 ounces. It's actually 4.8 ounces. And as it's a Samsung, you can replace the battery if you want. You can see the battery, there's the SIM, and the micro SD card slot for expansion. This is running Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. And as it's a Samsung phone, it's got the TouchWiz UI overlay. So if you like that, you're going to like this phone. If you don't like that, you can always switch the launcher to something else. So Samsung's preloaded a bunch of apps, but the biggest one's got to be S-Voice. It's that personal assistant you could use if you want to do things like call people or find out the weather. You can use S-Voice. Look at that. It's actually got all the things I was just yammering on about right there. It's not a command, though, so thankfully S-Voice is confused because I'm not making any sense. What's the weather like? So as you can see, it's not exactly perfect. You're going to have to mess around with this some if you want, but it's available because it's a Samsung phone. Now, like I said, it's running TouchWiz, which is that layer that Samsung likes to put on its phones. You can just mess around with it all you want. The response is really snappy on this device. Touchscreen, very good. Got to say, I enjoy the way it performs. I'm a big fan of running stock Android on there, so I found a launcher that's pretty much Ice Cream Sandwich, or actually Jelly Beans launcher, very similar to what I'm used to. So we're going to mess around with this, and it runs really fast. Let's go to my gallery and see what's going on. So the camera on this device is a 5 megapixel camera. It does a good job. Hey, look, it's my keys. Take a picture of my keys. It's focused. It takes like a second. Not too bad. Want to take photos? I found it to be quite good at taking photos. See, look. When it's brightly lit, works out pretty good. You can see this display is very, very bright. It's an AMOLED screen. And look, it's a cup on a scale. Time for the pros and cons. This thing's running a dual-core Qualcomm 1.5 gigahertz processor, which means this thing is really snappy and responsive. I gotta say, the screen is really bright. I do enjoy that. I could see it in brightly lit areas. And the camera, I found the quality of pictures to be quite good. On the con side, I've got to say, for a display this large, the resolution is a little bit too low. I had to turn the fonts to the smallest size to fit as much data as I wanted on there. It might be bright, but there's not a whole lot of things you can see at one time because it's 800 by 480. There's also that TouchWiz UI. If you like that, it's a pro. If you're me, you really don't like it, but then again, you can always get rid of it. On top of that, it's not the latest Android. It's running Ice Cream Sandwich by default and not Jelly Bean, so that kind of knocks it down a peg. So is the Galaxy Express a try, don't buy, or buy? Gotta say, it's definitely a try. It only costs about a penny if you go to Amazon. That's really cheap. This is a really powerful phone for what you get. I gotta say that if you want a decent phone, this is quite good. It's not the latest and greatest smartphone out there, but it's pretty powerful, pretty cheap, and it does have LTE if you can get it at AT&T. I'm Ayaz Akhtar, and this was the Galaxy Express.